Anno 1800 releases this April 16th, 2019. It's developed by Blue Byte and published by Ubisoft, who reached out to sponsor this video. So thank you very much to Ubisoft for the opportunity, for the sponsorship, and for the code for the game that allowed me to capture the beautiful gameplay you're seeing in the background of this video. And not only that, if you want to show them a little bit of appreciation, and if you want a chance to play Anno just before it releases, there is an open beta this weekend from the 12th of April until the 14th of April, 2019. If you click the link in the description below, you'll get a little bit more information on that. As you might be able to tell, this isn't necessarily a Let's Play episode of Anno 1800, although that is coming. This is going to be more of a talk about my first impressions of the game, not necessarily a full in-depth review of it, because I am by no means the most seasoned Anno player that there is. It is a franchise that I've had a lot of respect for, and that I've had a very keen eye on, but a franchise nonetheless that I honestly didn't jump into at all until just a couple of years ago. And even at that, I only played it for a couple of hours. It's actually very, very recent that I started putting some proper time into Anno with Anno 1800. The game is set at the dawn of the Industrial Age. It's all about the Industrial Revolution. And it's all about building your towns on whatever island you choose. And it's all about industrialization, essentially. It is the Industrial Revolution. You're going to start quite simply with farms and fishing and stuff like that, but very, very quickly, within the first hour or two, you're going to see yourself building factories and production lines and just getting more and more things to manage. As your farmers become workers and then eventually become artisans, they're all going to need different things, and there's a lot of things that you're juggling at the same time, and I really like that from a city builder and a city management game. I want to look towards, and now this is a sponsored video, I don't want to spend a huge amount of time talking about a different game here, obviously, but I want to look at Cities Skylines just very quickly as a game that I have a lot of experience in. I've put about 2,000 hours into it, done 400 videos on it, and it is a game that is very commonly referred to as a city painter, because within the first hour of playing a new game there, you will find yourself with enough money to sort of survive. Software Inc. is another game that isn't really a city builder at all, but it is another game where within the first hour you will find yourself with little challenge remaining. Anno doesn't feel like that at all for me, and that is a breath of fresh air because I have played so many city builders and so many management games in the last 5 years that have been games where you get started and then within an hour it's like, okay, you can literally do whatever you want. You have beat the game. It is a sandbox now. Anno doesn't feel like that, and I love it. I love that within an hour I'm just getting on from my farmers, or I'm just getting on from my workers. I love that I have to juggle the amount of farmhouses I have versus the amount of normal houses I have versus the amount of artisan houses that I'm going to need. Because that's an important part of it. Your farmhouses provide farmers. Your work houses or worker houses provide workers. Your artisan houses provide artisans. And all of those people will do different things. For example, a farmer works in a farm. A worker works in a factory. An artisan is going to work in a higher level factory, like a glassworks or something like that. So you need to balance the people within your population to make sure that you're able to actually produce all these different things. On top of that, you need to make sure that your economy is stable. Otherwise, you're building all these high-end factories and setting up these amazingly complex and mid-game production chains, and they're going to fall apart if your economy's no good. I love that challenge. I love that it's not just an hour of challenge and then 12 hours of doing whatever you want. I love that every second of this, it feels like I'm actually being challenged, like I actually have to think about it, like I actually have to do something and be involved. Because again, looking at a lot of games I've played these last 5 years, it is very much a case within an hour of, you know, click a bunch of things and just wait for it to build. Click a bunch more things and just wait for it to build. This isn't that, and not to sound like a broken record, this is the third or fourth time I'm saying it, that is a breath of fresh air. It's also really nice seeing a city builder set during something like the Industrial Revolution. It's something that I've not experienced in games in a while. It's something that I think is a really fascinating era. I like the idea that, you know, you're moving on from kind of very basic production to more advanced production. And again, you move from the beginning of your game where you're dealing with fishing and, I guess, growing potatoes and all that stuff, to making glass, making windows, to making guns, making steel, all this different stuff, and all these different levels of production. And again, I love production lines. These kind of games, these old school games like Transport Tycoon, where you're having to go and get your coal in one location, your iron in another location. You have to put them into a furnace, turn them into steel, then have them turned into steel beams. That production chain exists within Anno, and it's a production chain that I love. Likewise, in Anno, you need to have a grain farm. You have to have a malt house. Simultaneously to the malt house, you're going to need a hops farm. And then the malt and the hops go into a brewery, and suddenly you're making beer. I love that kind of production chain in a game because it becomes self-sustained if you can do it right. If you can really figure out the minute details of it and really figure out where everything needs to be. You know, how close does the warehouse need to be? How close does my farm need to be to the malt house? How close does the malt house need to be to the brewery? Can I get away with putting the brewery on the other side of town? Can I maybe have a part of my island that is dedicated to housing and sort of public buildings like townhouses or pubs or churches or markets? And then can I do another part of my town that is purely factories and industry and smokestacks and steam and grime and coal and dirt? I love that kind of thing. And this game's all built on grids as well. It's not a game where you're getting a nice, beautiful curved road. You're not doing any of that. You're building on grids. You're making it as efficient as you can. You are using your space as best as you possibly can. And that's just so up my street. I know I'm infamous in my city builders for going in and either not doing curves or doing too many curves. I never seem to hit the right stride with that. But with this, I say that it's all about efficiency. I actually find myself doing a whole lot of decoration in my areas. I would almost make boulevards out of 2 bits of road. I'd have 1 bit of road going, leave a gap, and then do another bit of road, and then put trees and grass and hedges and pathways in between them. And I would make a point of having my market building and then surrounding it with different roads so that I could have all these different ways into what I saw as the center of a certain area of my town, surrounded by trees and grass and hedges and paths and all that good stuff. Again, you know, maybe a pub on one side of the market, a church on the other side, the town hall at the north side of it. I would just make it look kind of beautiful. And then just 2 streets away, over the top of the pub, you can see all the smokestacks of my industry. And I don't know, I'm probably not the only person that does this. I'm not gonna say, oh, does anyone else do this crazy thing? Because obviously some people will. But I like to imagine what the view is like from certain areas. And in my head, I can see, you know, being right down in there, in that city center, in that market. And imagine you're, well, 25, 26. You know, the last 10 years, industry has revolutionized how you live. And this market that was once, you know, you'd look over the rooftops and you would have once just seen hills and trees. Now you're seeing smokestacks. Now you're seeing these fire engine things. You're seeing steam and all this industrialization coming about. And I love that as a setting alone. So the aesthetic of the look of the game combined with just the I guess the details of the models and the way everything comes together. I'm waffling a bit here and I don't mean to. I love it. It feels like what I imagined this kind of game would have felt like years ago, if that makes sense. Like this to me feels like I was sitting 9 or 10 years old playing probably Stronghold. And I would sit there and be like, oh, what would a game like this be in 15 years? And this kind of feels like that. Because it has that tile system. It has those elements of Anno from Days Gone. Because again, I didn't play Anno when I was young. I wish I did. I really wish I did now, because I'd have a much more coherent video. But that's too late now. But it feels like a really good step. And it feels like such an advancement on those games that I loved when I was younger. It feels like a properly modern take on those. So to be completely honest, I'm not the most experienced Anno player. I'm not the most experienced with even the franchise. And there are going to be those of you that will probably be vastly more experienced with it than I am, who are gonna be like, well, actually, bro, the last game was pretty good too, there, fella. But this is the wafflings of someone who is just experiencing Anno properly for the first time with Anno 1800, and I'm really enjoying it. So, if you are a seasoned Anno player, I reckon you're probably gonna really dig this. If you are someone that likes city builders, city management games, and who especially likes a good challenge in those games, then I think you're gonna really dig this. And if you're someone that just kind of is getting back into city builders, I think there's something in this for everyone, and I'm really excited to see what I can do with it. I didn't get to play as much of it in the run up to this video as I would have liked. I've been everywhere. I've been doing this, that, the other. I've been developing my own stuff. I've been trying to exercise, trying to eat better. So I'm sitting here recording this commentary, and I'm thinking, man, I cannot wait to get my hands on the full release of this, to just dive in and spend 12 hours a day playing Anno 1800, trying to figure out the best way to do things, and trying to stay on top of all my production lines, and trying to juggle everything I can juggle, because that is something I've really been missing in my city builders lately. It really is. I want that mix of discovering things and building my city and managing my economy. I want to just experience the Industrial Revolution through this game. So with that said, ladies and gents, I will 100% be doing a full Let's Play of Anno 1800. I'll probably end up doing multiple Let's Plays of it here on the channel throughout the year at this point. It's weird that we're almost at the middle of 2019. I mean, we're a third of the way into it by now. But I am genuinely very excited about this. I think it's going to be my new, I think it's going to end up being my new sort of addiction when it comes to management games. And I'm very, very excited to dive in. So with that said, ladies and gents, Anno 1800 has an open beta weekend this weekend. The weekend this video is going out from the 12th until the 14th of April 2019, and is going to be releasing on the 16th of April 2019. A huge thank you to Ubisoft for the sponsorship and for the game code used to record the beautiful footage in the background. If you're interested in Anno 1800, do go ahead into the description below. Do read up on it a little bit. Follow the links. Do all that good stuff. There might even be one on screen at the moment. But do all that good stuff. Check it out. I think you'll love it, especially if you are a fan of city builders, management games, and such. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. It's been my absolute pleasure as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.